Hello, I'm Amissa, and welcome to my channel, Amissa Loves. This is my first video, and this is the beginning of something deeply personal and something collective. If you are someone whose heart has felt heavy, if you are someone who cares deeply about justice and about healing, but you have felt like something is missing, then this message is for you. Because I believe that liberation begins with love, and not love as in the kind of love that we are taught to seek or chase outside of ourselves, but love as the truth of who we are. So let's begin. Let's get into it. I created this space because I've been called to share my own journey of my own awakening through love. And it's been a journey that's been sparked by trauma, by heartbreak, but also by a relentless desire for our collective liberation. I have worked toward liberation in lots of spaces as an educator and a facilitator, as an artist, as an organizer. I've held the space, I've pushed for the change. But over time, in each of those spaces, I always started to feel disillusioned because I realized that the same systems that we were trying to dismantle, the violence, the oppression, the exploitation, they don't just live out there. They also live in here. And until we turn our attention inward, we can't truly get free. So here's what I've come to understand. There is no liberation without love. There is no liberation without feeling. We have been told that our most vulnerable parts are our wounds, the places where we've been hurt. But what I've come to understand that the part that we are actually protecting the most, it's not our wound, it's actually our power. It's actually the love that we are, because that part of you, your love, it is the part of you that is the most dangerous to empire. And that's why we keep it the most hidden. For me, trauma taught me to hide the truth of the love that I am by freezing, by fawning, by shrinking and submitting. And I built this identity, this shield of identity around these coping strategies, these trauma responses, these means of survival. And for a while, I thought those shields were me. And I also thought that those shields were protecting me. But they actually weren't. They were disconnecting me from myself. They were disconnecting me from the truth of who I am. They were disconnecting me from love. And life, because life is wild and chaotic, and it's also beautiful and somehow divinely ordered, life continued to crack me open again and again. And through these instances, I slowly began to feel through pain, to feel through heartbreak, instead of performing my shield of trauma responses around it. And through that process, I began to finally feel myself as love. And when I say love, I don't mean niceness. I don't mean romance. I don't mean politeness. I mean love as power, as the most powerful force that we have. I mean love as June Jordan named it, love as life force. That love, it's clear. That love is truth. That love is magic. That love is the part of you that empire fears the most because it's the part of you that empire cannot touch. It's the part of you that empire cannot control. But the thing is that most of us cover this part up, and we do it unconsciously. We suppress and we numb and we abandon this part of ourselves because we think we need to do that in order to stay safe, in order to avoid conflict, in order to avoid shame. And in doing this, we might think that we are mitigating harm when often we are simply reenacting scenarios that recreate the very harm that we're trying to escape. Scenarios that actually block us from the love that we so deeply desire to feel. But our freedom begins, your freedom begins the moment that you remember that your power is your love and you do not have to hide it anymore. Empire thrives on the lie that love is weakness and that force and violence are power. Empire tells you to cope rather than to feel. Empire tells you to perform rather than to be. Empire rewards, it incentivizes our trauma responses and it punishes our truth. And to be clear, sometimes we have to employ our trauma responses in order to be safe. And when we have to choose that in the midst of an emergency in order to survive, then that's the right move. And there's no shame in that. But any system that forces you to cover up, to shield, to numb, to abandon your own heart in order to survive, it's not a system worth sustaining. Our movements for liberation, I've witnessed them stall out when we only look outward, when we only look at strategies and structures and systems, and avoid facing and feeling what's inside. And I've also witnessed in spiritual spaces, those places can fall short when we only focus on the internal and we bypass the collective wound, the collective pain. But the truth is that there's actually no separation between these two. There's no separation between the personal and the political, the internal and the external. Because you are a fractal of the whole. And that means that your healing is our collective healing. So when you reclaim the parts of yourself that you have abandoned, and when you allow love to move through you instead of hiding it, your energy will shift internally. And because of that internal shift, your actions and choices will shift in relation to the world around you. And when your actions and your choices shift in relation to the world around you, the world around you has no choice but to shift in response to you. And that is not magic or woo-woo. That's just the truth. That's just the resonance of the energy that you are. So, what is liberation? Liberation is not just about tearing things down. Liberation is also and most fundamentally about remembering what's true and then acting from that place. And liberation is not just about the actions that we take, it's about how those actions are anchored in the truth of our hearts. We get free when we choose from love rather than from fear. We get free when we choose from our remembrance of our wholeness rather than choosing from our trauma responses and survival. And you're not broken. You're not lacking. You are not separate. We collectively are not broken. We are not lacking. We are not separate. We are getting free because we are feeling the parts of ourselves that we were taught to hide, and we are loving them back home. So here's my invitation to you. I invite you to feel. I invite you to feel what hurts. I invite you to hold what's hurting in love. And I invite you to feel the love that is holding you as you are holding those hurting parts. Practice feeling yourself as love, not just giving and receiving love, but being it. And when you do this, you'll notice that your love is not fragile. Your love is not naive. Your love is the root of your power, and our world needs your power right now. So in this space, we're remembering who we are together. In this space, we hold the wound and the wisdom. We hold the heartbreak and the healing. We hold the personal and the political. In this space, we choose love, not as a feeling, but as a way of being, as a means toward liberation, because you were never meant to earn or fight for your freedom. You are free. You are freedom itself. Just like you were never meant to perform for or earn your love, because you are loved and you are love itself. So let's remember that together. Thank you for being here. I'll be back soon, and if this resonates, I hope that you'll subscribe and stick around. And let's get free together, collectively, one feeling at a time, one heart at a time. I love you, and we'll talk soon.